Hey everyone, Chris here at Fernglade Farm. It's now into late autumn, and I'll just include this shot so that people can get an idea of the sheer size of this place. Some of these trees right in front of me are well over 25 metres tall, and you can notice that I keep the herbage down low underneath them, and that's due to the fire risk. We survived the summer, which is really good, and you can see everything's greening up too. In the distance you can see the shed and the house and some of the water tanks and all the extensive infrastructure below the house. And moving from the drier side food forest over into the more shady food forest. And off in the distance we've got the chicken enclosure. You can see the beautiful colours due to all the deciduous trees turning. They're still a lot productive though. And we're heading back to have a look at the house. And what I've been doing in the last couple of months is actually working on all the infrastructure and plant guilds below the house. You can see it's quite green. And what I've done is experimented with what works and what doesn't work. And I've been replicating those systems all over the place. You notice that there's extensive rock walls everywhere. And that's actually just to provide a boundary and an edge. And plus also habitat for some of the frogs and skinks and spiders and scorpions and all sorts of things that live in there. And right down the bottom here is the swale, and that's also defined by a rock wall. Immediately in front of me is some of the raised vegetable beds, and they're still quite productive, and they will be right through winter, through spring, and again back into summer. You can pretty much produce vegetables here 12 months of the year. It's largely frost-free, this site. What's interesting are the tomatoes will keep ripening right up until late May, early June, and those couple of beds will produce about 50 kilos worth of cherry tomatoes. I'll stick to the cherries because in this cooler environment, cherries tend to ripen easier than the larger varieties. Anyway, let's have a look in the background, and we'll see what sort of day we're having. And it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can see it's pretty cloudy today. There's not a lot of sunlight around. So let's go and have a look at the solar power meter and we'll see what we're producing. You can see at the moment the battery is about 26.3 volts. If we go through, we can have a look and see what the system's currently generating. It's generating exactly 5 amps, and what that translates to is about 125 watt hours. So it's not much. You can run a lot off that. And the house is using up about 2 amps at the moment, which is about 50 watt hours. So it's not very much. And overall today we've brought in 106 amp hours. We've used 55 amp hours. So you always want to bring in more than you're using. But you can see that despite the large number of solar panels, the system just doesn't generate much on a cloudy day. And we're not even anywhere near the winter solstice yet. This time of year you're still not short of fruit. The citrus will be producing for most of the winter. Right in front of me this is an Australian round lime. It produces heaps of fruit. Right in front of here is a lemon eureka. It's quite a large tree. It's looking about 3 metres tall. Then we've got a milder tasting Meyer lemon. And then over here, just off in the distance, we've got a pomelo. This is a very large grapefruit. It's a lovely tree. Apples are still also producing. This is a late season variety by the name of Lady Williams. It's a good producer, even though this tree's only been in the ground here for about 2 years. In this climate too, olives are real givers, and you can see there's a lot of fruit on this tree. It's probably about 5 or 6 years old, and it's certainly taller than I am. It's about 2.5 metres tall. This fig tree is less than a year old, and it's actually producing fruit, so I've got great hopes for these guys. Right now in late autumn, we're only getting about 2 eggs a day from the girls, and you can see that the reason for that is that they're regrowing their feathers from the summer molt. And as the winter progresses, we'll start to get more and more eggs. Actually, the grey layers at the moment are the silky chickens, and that's a little white puffball immediately in front of the camera that's scratching through the grass. And they're actually excellent layers over this period of time because they don't really molt, and they're consistent layers at this particular time of year. Anyway, the chooks are actually scratching through a deeply dirt mulch system, and it can be up to a foot deep in some points. And here's one of the reasons why the chickens need a fully enclosed enclosure and need to be supervised when free ranging throughout the food forest. You can see the enclosure is actually a double layer of 1.4mm galvanised steel chicken wire, which is pretty strong. It's about as strong as they make. Then on top of that's a 25 by 25 welded mesh. And I've got to say it's got to be pretty strong because every man and their dog wants to eat chicken up here. This is strawberry enclosure, and for the moment they've finished producing fruit. We probably won't get any more until about November. But what they are producing is runners. So I'm actually going to take those runners and put them into a new area that I've been planning down here. And I'm going to double the production of strawberries. But it's never as simple as just banging some plants in the ground. Everything eats strawberries up here. So I've had to clear an area and mulch it up and get the soil started. Also you can see that there's a tap and access path. So you also have to be able to get into that area as well too to maintain it. So moving around here, down below I'm going to, where the bee box is, that's shortly to become a new area for blackberries. I need to close them off, and down below you can see that I've added access paths, water taps, and this entire area will be replicating with the summer plant guilds that survive the extreme temperature here. You can see this is what it looks like even now. It's pretty amazing. And down below I've just started propagating that area up. So this here is about 2 years old, and just beyond it you can see what it looks like with only a year's worth of growth on it. So just walking down, and you can see there's a couple of olive trees down there, and you can see there are just cuttings all through the entire area. There are literally hundreds of cuttings through there. You'd be amazed at the amount of plants that need to go into that area. And this is probably more than 6 months and less than 1 year. That's how it's starting. So it's doing pretty well, and it's a huge diversity of plants in there. They say the heart of every farm is the kitchen, and I don't usually show the inside of the house, but I've got some interesting things going on. To the left you can see bottles of, or demijohns of cider bubbling away in the heat, and in the oven there's a bread loaf going. The wood fire is burning quite hot now. Just going into the kitchen, just want to give people an idea of just how much preservatives you can make if you put your mind to it. So into this cupboard, and that's about 10 deep. That's preserved fruit from the summer. That's all stone fruit. Generally it's apricots. And then going up to the corner cupboard, you can see there's a few more demijohns on the bench here, and you'd be surprised actually. You have to, if you're into homebrew in a serious way, you have to make quite a lot before you're actually self-sufficient. And generally the amount that I'm showing is enough to generate a glass a night, and that's about it. So up the top here is chutneys, and then over this side you can see some more chutneys, and into here is jams, and there's a combination of rhubarb and rhubarb and strawberry and plum and apricot, and in below there's some more jams. It's quite a lot, isn't there? And then down below there's that's the collection of drinks. So generally we're fairly self-sufficient on a lot of jams and drinks, so it's a good way to go. It saves you a lot of money on both of those because they're quite high value items. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.